So welcome to the instructions for topic 2.1.2, modifying paragraph spacing. So when we are working with paragraphs, there's a few different options we can do for spacing. These days, it is common not to have that indentation at the start of a paragraph. They used to be to set things apart where you went right from one line straight to the next. That was very useful when things were typewritten. So you would hit that physical carriage and it wouldn't know that there's another paragraph. So you hit the tab to make that one indent and it would work. When we are talking about things that are processed digitally these days, that's not as useful because there are two different kinds of paragraph spacing. So there's two ways to access it. You highlight the section that you want to apply to, possibly using Control-A to select the entire document. And then you can either click the line and paragraph spacing button here, or under Format, go to line and paragraph spacing. Using the Format menu means it's easy to jump to what we're going to be doing. Here we have that same menu. So single space is what we have now. It'll take a while because I have the entire document highlighted. So let's come to this space, or this section here. So single space means as soon as you push enter, it shows up on the next line. If we went to 1.15, there's a little more space, which makes it just a little more readable. It's easier to track to the start of the next line. 1.5 space is extra space. You want to be careful with 1.5 spacing. That can feel padded if someone is writing your work. There are times when teachers have specifically asked for double space, so there's a blank line in between, and that gives them the space to write comments and notes for you. So if your teacher hasn't specified, and I would like to go to that 1.15 or the 1.5. We'll go back to the single spacing so things are consistent. So that's the spacing between lines within a paragraph. You can also change the lines before and after paragraphs. So you can remove spaces before and after the paragraphs. You can even go to custom spacing. That's the line. And paragraphs will have these points for the spaces in between. So a point is a unit of measure that's used by publishers. There are 72 points per inch. It was standardized by people who were unfortunately saddled with the imperial system. So at 12 points, that's 12 out of 72, or 1/6 of an inch. 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So we are looking at about 0.42 centimeters, or about half a centimeter. If you go to, say, 36, now we have more space between the paragraphs. So if you press enter here, there's a full ½ inch before you get to the next one. Notice that the cursor does not stop in that space. It jumps up and down. So you do have that flexibility to put that extra space between paragraphs to make it more obvious that that's what's happening. Prevent single lines is about widow and orphan protection, meaning if you start a paragraph near the end of the page, sometimes only the first line fits. That's what's called a widow. If you start it near the top of the page or closer to the bottom of the page and it takes a little bit more, so you have one line on the next page, that's an orphan. Either way, preventing single lines will make sure it doesn't happen. So if it's a 3-line paragraph that would have 1 line on page 2 and 2 on page 3, it'll move it all to page 3. Anyway, we will go back to our 12-point spacing, but we have that flexibility.